So what we have here is a juvenile rat snake, a harmless rat snake that's become stuck to a glue trap. You can see the snake is still alive, fortunately, but won't live very long if it stays stuck inside of this trap. Someone reached out to me that they had found this morning. The traps were set out by a pest control company without their knowledge. These traps are really widely used, mainly for invertebrate pests, insects, spiders, roaches. Sometimes used for rodents also, and they're effective, but they're also devastating to wildlife, especially reptiles, whose kind of skin texture really causes them to get stuck very bad, very quickly into these glue traps. And you can see here, the same property here's another incident where we have a 5-line skink that also became stuck on this trap, and the skink appears to be alive as well. Both of these were put out last night, and in just one night or morning, they actually managed to catch 2 reptiles. The first thing that I always want to do is to cut away as much of the trap as possible. And this is for a couple reasons. One, obviously these enclosed traps that wrap around, I just don't have much room to work with in here. But secondly, I want to remove as much of the glue surface as I can, because I've learned through experience that as you start to get the animal released from the glue, it'll then move, kind of nervously move, and get stuck right back onto the glue again. So now you can see that I've got it open here, and you can see the snake is really badly stuck on here. You can see actually the lower jaw of the snake has come somewhat dislocated. Fortunately, this is something that snakes do when they're eating, is to kind of dislocate their jaw anyway. So we will be able to, or the snake will be able to readjust that once they get loose. Be very careful, obviously, that you don't cut the animal's skin, because the snake's skin gets kind of stretched out as they struggle to release themselves from the glue trap. Okay, so as you can see, I already started to cut this 5-line skink out, just like I did with the rat snake. And again, you want to try to eliminate as much as you can of the surrounding glue trap, so that you've just got basically kind of the main spot that the animal is stuck to. So what we're going to use to break down this glue is just basic household kitchen vegetable oil. You can use all different types of vegetable oils. So we're going to use a swab of some kind, a Q-tip, whatever swab you have, to apply the vegetable oil carefully around the animal, avoiding the mouth and nose and face as much as possible until you get to that point. What I tend to do is get the vegetable oil on the swab and then run it around basically the border of where the animal is stuck. And it takes a few minutes for this vegetable oil to start to break down the adhesive on the glue trap. And again, keep it to the body initially and away from the mouth. We don't want a bunch of vegetable oil running into the mouth of the animal. And oftentimes when snakes especially are stuck on these, their mouth is kind of gaping open because the lower jaw sticks to the glue, and then the upper jaw, in the process of kind of struggling to release themselves, the upper jaw gets kind of all out of alignment. But you can see, if you look particularly down like in the middle, you can see how horribly stuck the snake's skin is, to where it's kind of getting stretched and pulled. Now this will go back to normal. Snakes are very stretchy animals to begin with, just because of the nature of the way that they eat. They have to expand their body a great deal in order to swallow prey whole. So fortunately their skin is resilient as long as it doesn't tear. Also, I would mention that you probably want to coat other areas surrounding the snake with a bit of the vegetable oil so that that adhesive also breaks down. Again, what you don't want to have happen is the animal gets released from one section of the one part of the glue trap and then immediately re-sticks to another area of it. As the edges of the animal start to come loose, you'll end up having to kind of reapply to the areas underneath, further underneath the belly, where your first pass with the vegetable oil didn't actually reach. But while this is starting to break down the adhesive, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this 5-line skink and see if we can get some. Yeah, you can see he's got some good fight in him. He's definitely struggling. So this animal probably has a decent shot at survival if we're able to get it out of this predicament. The skink obviously is smaller and has some much more delicate bones in the legs, little tiny feet. This is not a fully grown adult 5-line skink. It's a younger one. So those, those little feet and toes are super tiny. So we want to be very, very careful with the way that we apply this so that we don't actually end up injuring the animal further in the process. This with around the feet area, I kind of just like to dab it because the feet are so delicate. The oil's already starting to break down the adhesive, and there are some sections of the rat snake that have already started to kind of come loose. A couple of the coils that were attached before have already broken loose, and so that's kind of the way that you'll see it happen, is gradually as the oil penetrates, parts of the animal's body will start to free up. So you'll see here, there's one area where this whole section was previously attached, and now the only piece is there's a piece of skin to the side right here that is still attached. And if I can just get the cotton underneath a little bit and just continue to spread that oil around it, this part right here is going to come loose pretty soon. Okay, moving back to the skink, which seems to be breathing pretty well. And the oil again is starting to already break down the adhesive. And so we're seeing parts of the body lift off and become free from the glue trap. Obviously with a skink or lizard, it's a little more difficult because once this animal does get loose, it's going to probably be moving very quickly, and we don't want to get in a situation where it ends up in a predicament, a new predicament, down a vent or under an appliance or something. So we're going to move that into a tub and just kind of put the whole glue trap piece inside of the tub and then continue to work on it in here. And going back to the snake, we can see a lot more coils now are becoming loose. We're getting to the point where we can probably start to move the body aside and then cut off more of the glue trap. And what I like to do is, as I'm making progress, when it's safe, to cut off more and more pieces of the glue trap. So I'm just dealing with a smaller area. All right, so now we're really making progress. If you can see how well this vegetable oil is working, the majority of the snake's body is now released from the glue trap. We try to do this as gently as possible to not cause additional stress. But now that just came loose. And so now I'm getting very, very close to success here. So now we have a snake almost completely saved from this. And we're going to work from the back towards the front with additional vegetable oil on this last area that's stuck. We're getting very close now to having a free snake. Underneath you can see the scales, the belly scales where they're stuck to the adhesive. We just kind of run right along the side of that and let the oil go in. I'm keeping the head kind of tipped upward so that the oil doesn't run down into the mouth. It runs away from the snake's head. You can also use the side of the Q-tip or swab to go carefully underneath and just apply a tiny bit of pressure. Okay, so we are very close now. I would say this snake is 98% released here from the glue trap. Just that kind of last bit of neck skin that was really badly stuck. But if you can see the head, the snake's already readjusted where its jaw looked like it was totally broken, which snakes are capable of. That's already been readjusted, and the snake is generally normal looking, aside from a few little stretched areas that should bounce back. Oh, there we go. The snake is loose. So there's a little bit of tearing on that neck skin just from the animal pulling and struggling to get away. But you can see there's pretty good life in this snake. It's acting pretty normal. What we'll do now is just clean off the oil with some paper towels, and then give the animal some place to rest for a little bit with some water in a dark, calm environment without a bunch of people moving around. And then after some rest and water, we're gonna evaluate it and probably release it back out into the wild from the area where it was caught. All right, let's check in on that 5-line skink. We see a lot of the body has already started to release. And again, the skink is a little different because of the delicate nature of these tiny toes, which on a skink this size, the toes are just incredibly small. And I can't imagine how easily those little bones could be broken. And actually one of these legs looks like it's, yep, we have a loose leg now. So we have 3 out of 4 legs loose. Okay, now we're seeing some real activity here. This skink is ready to get off of this thing. With the skink, we are literally at the last millimeter and the glue is breaking down. Like I think right now, there it goes. The skink is now loose. So both animals have been freed from the glue traps. All right, so we're gonna get a lid on this and give it a little bit of time to rest from the trauma and get that oil soaked off of it with the paper towel. And we'll offer it some water and see if it's good to go back out in the wild. Thanks for a second. Okay. Yeah, he's...
Oh, wow, he can climb on the letters?
He seems pretty lively. Okay. And you can go ahead and let's see him. Is he doing okay?
Yeah.
Well, he looks really good.
This is a baby rat snake.
Okay. So here's what we want you to do. Is go ahead and put him down on the ground and we're going to let him go, okay?
Okay. No?
All right. Yeah.